Good morning. I'd like to thank Pastor Meredith and Pastor Ben for the opportunity to talk to you today about our partnership with our brothers and sisters in Christ at Seela Parish, which is located on the beautiful slopes of Mount Meru in Tanzania, Africa. But before I start, I'd like to share a few lyrics from one of my favorite songs, a song that really encapsulates God's plan for my life and my own personal faith journey with this partnership over the last 10 years. The refrain of the song goes, "Faith without works is like a song you can't sing. It's about as useless as a screen door on a submarine." Faith without works is about as useless as a screen door on a submarine. So now the first pages in this story of our Tanzanian partnership were written nearly 10 years ago when we, as a congregation, were led by faith, hearts open to building global connections, to embark on a partnership with the people of Seela Parish. As we traveled down the path of partnership, we've had many opportunities to learn about each other through visits and photos and stories as we learned about each other. We've seen where the people of Seela live, where they worship, and where their children attend school. We've heard the stories of their struggles of their daily lives, primarily as sustenance farmers, and of the ongoing droughts in Tanzania. We've heard of failed crops. We've heard of their hunger. And we've reached out with humility for all that we are blessed with and with a compassion for their needs, giving simple gifts to show them that we're thinking about them and that we care. We've sent knit hats to keep their children warm, living high on the mountain where it gets so cold. We've given simple fabric school bags filled with school supplies to the elementary students. These gifts of hats and school bags, a testament to the labors of love from those among us who knit and sew for the children of Seela. Such precious gifts that are truly treasured by the students and the children who receive them, children who have so little. And we funded a scholarship program that helps ensure that Seela Parish students are able to continue their education past elementary school. We have alleviated hunger for the families of Seela through our annual purchases and distribution of maize and rice and beans to the Seela Parish parishioners. We've partnered with the people of Seela Parish in helping them to make their worship space more comfortable and more welcoming by providing a financial gift that allowed them to replace the simple wooden benches in their sanctuary with beautiful new pews that have both backs and needed padded kneelers. Can you imagine sitting on a bench, on a pew with no back during a worship service that easily lasts 2 hours or more? We've also sent other gifts as tokens of our partnership: handmade stoles for the pastors of Seela Parish, a handcrafted wood cross for their altar, a pewter communion set and communion wafers, handmade banners and photo albums, and other gifts given as we walk down this path of partnership, hand in hand as God's children. And each year, as I present gifts on behalf of Holy Cross, in particular the small gifts I give individually to the orphans and the widows, I often have this heaviness in my heart that these small tokens of our partnership, they're so little when the overall needs of the people are so big. Yet these small gifts, such as the 1-pound bags of sugar that I purchased to give the widows, are received with a reverence that is truly humbling. These gifts are beyond their expectations, beyond their imagination, beyond measure. And I hear day after day, as I visit with the people, "Mama Su, asante Mungu," thanks to our God. "Asante sana," thank you. "Tunashukuru," we are so thankful. "Pole mama," but we are sorry. We have nothing to give you and the people of Holy Cross for your hospitality. All we have to give you is our prayers. But they are wrong if they think that the gifts that they give, the gifts of their friendship and acceptance and prayer, if these gifts are somehow small or inadequate. The gifts they give us are even more precious than they are able to imagine or comprehend. They've opened their hearts to us. They've allowed us into their lives, and they are teaching us by their actions lessons of selfless giving that will help us all to be better people. People who have a strong foundation of faith, and people who serve God by serving each other. People who have faith with works, faith that is not as useless as a screen door on a submarine. You're wondering how I was going to weave that in, right? There was one particularly memorable year in which we purchased 13 bags of maize and beans for Seela Parish, about 700 pounds of food that we planned to distribute while I was there. Now, the grain each family received typically wouldn't even feed an average family for a week, but it was something. And when they have little or no food, it's important because of the drought and the failed crops. So little to feed so many, maybe just 3 pounds of maize and a pound of beans for each family. But that particular year, before the food was to be distributed, the pastors and the church elders met to discuss the situation. And after prayer and quiet discussion, they had made a decision. They explained to me that they were going to share 2 of their bags of maize with the people in another parish in the northern district of the Lievrouw diocese. The pastor went on to explain that the people in that parish were very poor, and that both people and animals had died at that parish as a result of the ongoing drought and the hunger. Yet by all accounts, Seela Parish is by far the poorest and the smallest parish of the entire Lievrouw diocese. I was about to ask their pastor, why are they giving away so much grain when so many people of their own parish were hungry? But I stopped, and I paused to do the simple math in my head. 2 out of 13 bags. They had tithed from the first fruits that they had received, prayerfully and joyfully giving a tithe to others in need, 10% and more. Selfless giving. This lesson as a gift to us from those who have the least. And when the day of the distribution came, the air was charged with anticipation and thankfulness. People patiently waiting their turn until they were called to come forward to receive the allotment of food for their family. Carrying it back home, their burden lighter, even as they carried the weight of the grain. Then a week or so later, as people were saying their goodbyes to me at the parish, a frail older woman approached me and handed me a small plastic bag. She pressed it into my hands, she smiled, and she said, "Mungu akubariki sana mamasu. God bless you." Now, feeling the weight of the bag, I knew exactly what it was. She had just given to me half of the beans that she just received a week earlier. This lesson of selfless giving, yet another gift to us. The people in Seela say they have nothing to give to us in return for the hospitality of the people of Holy Cross. They say they only have love to give to us. And it is from the love in their hearts that they teach us yet another lesson. In this lesson, another gift, to love one another, in service to God as we love and care for and serve each other. Now, Mama Sakawa helps the elderly widows who come to her when they're in need and have nowhere else to go. She gives them a cup of hot tea when they come to her house in the morning. She washes their shoeless feet. She spends time with them. She gives them friendship and she gives them comfort, all in humble service. I see how Mama Amakoliwe helps to care for the orphans in the village, even as she struggles to feed her own children and her grandchildren. I see how the elders of the parish serve others as in the grain distribution, hours without break, tirelessly measuring maize and rice and beans into the bags and baskets of the parishioners until all the grain has been distributed and all the spilled grain has been swept from the floor. This last bit of grain from the floor as part of their own food distribution allotment. This is their payment for their service to others during the distribution. Now, each morning I wake up to the sounds of life in Tanzania. Cows mooing and roosters crowing, the sound of chopping wood and quiet voices. And I get up and I get dressed and I look outside the door to the place where I left my dusty sandals the night before. And every morning, they're right where I left them, but they're clean. It took me a while to figure out who washed my sandals every night. No one would tell me when I asked. Their humble service, though, was reflected in their knowing smiles. I walked to the back of the house to find that my mama has already gathered up my clothes while I was sleeping, and she's washing them, smiling happily as she scrubs them in a large tub of water that she's already gathered from the river. I offer to help, but she'll have none of that. Instead, she leads me back inside the house where a steaming cup of tea and warm chapati are already waiting. Mama puts 2 teaspoons of sugar in my tea, a luxury that she often cannot afford for herself, and she stirs it for me. She holds a plastic bowl, and I wash my hands under the stream of water from a pitcher as she pours it for me. She says, "Mwanangu, my child, karibu, welcome," all in humble service of her guest. Now, when I'm in Tanzania, I like to use my phone to try to post updates and bits of news on Twitter and Facebook for the people who like to follow my travels. It's sometimes a challenge to find an internet signal, much less electricity, and usually with some helpful suggestions from the villagers, I eventually find a place where I might be able to catch a signal. Now, one year, that sweet spot was a bit higher up the mountain in a cornfield where I could go and, holding my phone just right, could catch that elusive internet signal to post my messages online. So each morning, I'd take a walk and climb up the dirt path to the spot I had found with that signal, usually followed by children who wanted me to play instead. At that point, I had to leave the main path to climb up to the center of the cornfield. The dirt path was quite steep, but I didn't think twice about struggling up the incline to get to that place where I could catch the signal. But someone was watching and someone noticed my efforts, because one sunny morning, when I reached the steep incline by the cornfield, I saw that there were stairs cut for me directly into the dirt. And each day that followed, it became clear that someone was even sweeping the stairs for me. Fresh brush strokes from a broom having replaced the imprint of footsteps in the dirt the day before. Acts of kindness done in humble service. These are the gifts that we receive from our brothers and sisters in Tanzania. But their giving goes beyond simple gifts and humble service. They trust that God will care for their needs as they give to others. They have an unwavering faith in the grace of God. And the lessons of their faith and their good works is another gift to us. As the song goes, faith without works is like a song you can't sing. It's about as useless as a screen door on a submarine. Now, their giving is not only selfless, it's sacrificial. They do not call their gifts to the church offerings. They call them sacrifices. And if they don't have money to put in the offering envelope during Sunday worship, they'll bring up an egg, or a bunch of bananas, or a bag of beans, or a chicken, or a single piece of firewood to the altar. Taking from what little they have, giving a sacrifice to give to and to uplift the ministries that they all share together at Seela Parish. They trust that God will take care of their needs, and they show this in giving that has no bounds. It's not unusual then, after that first sacrifice is given by the parishioners to the ministries of their parish, for the pastor to stand up and lift up another need. The need for a repair to the church building, a gift to help the family of the newly baptized baby. And the people of Seela Parish come forward again to place a second sacrifice in the offering basket. A second sacrifice to help others in need. A procession of people, row after row of pews empty, and then fill again as people return to their seats. Pastor stands up, speaks again, this time of a parishioner who's ill. Maybe a student has passed the national exam to attend secondary school, but whose family has no money to pay tuition. And yet another need is lifted up. And the people of the congregation come forward again, as they're able, placing a third sacrificial offering in the basket. And all throughout the giving of these sacrifices, people sing and they clap to the beat of the music and the beat of their joyful hearts. They understand that faith without works is about as useless as a screen door on a submarine. There's joy in giving as God gave to them. Joy in knowing that they are lifting and supporting the ministry that they all share, helping others as they themselves are being helped. Truly, faith with works. Faith in knowing that when they give, they will receive. And they will receive in abundance beyond the measure that they have given. The people of Seela say that they have no gifts to give to us, but they have welcomed us into their lives so that we can experience and we can share the depth of their unwavering faith. Lessons of selfless and sacrificial giving, and lessons of humble service. It's simply their way of life. They know nothing else. They have nothing else. So these are the gifts that they give to us. Are we gracious enough to receive these gifts? Are we bold enough to give sacrificially from that which God has first given to us, to help these people, our partners in Seela, through the gifts that we individually and as a congregation of faith have to offer to them? Are we courageous enough to test the depth of our own faith, to live our faith with works, and to humbly serve, just as our brothers and sisters in Tanzania do? So today I lift up the needs of these people, our partners in Tanzania, to you in faith. How will you respond? Is your faith without works, like a screen door on a submarine? Or will you allow God to empower you with an unwavering faith and a commitment to selfless giving and to humble service? The choice is yours. Thank you.